Imagine a timid math teacher, mocked and slammed into lockers by ruthless bullies, hiding a secret that will leave you speechless. In a heart-stopping saga of vengeance and redemption, her hidden judo mastery unleashes a storm of justice, sending her tormentors crashing in a blaze of retribution. Don't miss this electrifying story, packed with jaw-dropping twists that'll grip you from start to finish. Subscribe now to dive into this epic tale and never miss another pulse-pounding adventure. The fluorescent lights of Lincoln High's bustling hallways flickered like a heartbeat, casting jagged shadows across the linoleum floor in suburban Ohio. The air was heavy with the scent of teenage bravado, cheap body spray, gym socks, and the faint tang of rebellion. Lila Harper, a 26-year-old math teacher in her first year, wove through the chaotic swarm of students, her arms wrapped tightly around her lesson planner as if it were a shield. At 5'2", with mousy brown hair pulled into a neat bun and wire-rimmed glasses perched on her nose, she looked more like a bookish graduate student than a high school teacher. Her soft-spoken nature and tendency to blush under scrutiny had earned her a reputation. "Miss Harper's too nice. She can't handle a class, she's a pushover." The whispers followed her like a shadow. But what no one at Lincoln High knew, not the students, not the faculty, not even Principal Margaret Walsh, was that Lila Harper was no ordinary teacher. Beneath her unassuming exterior burned the heart of a black belt judo master, a secret she'd buried deep when she fled her past to start anew in this sleepy town. But on October 12th, 2024, that secret would explode in a way that would shatter reputations, unravel conspiracies, and rewrite the story of Lincoln High forever. It was a crisp autumn morning, the kind where the air bit just enough to keep you alert. Emily was hurrying to her third-period algebra class, her sensible flats clicking against the floor, when she heard the familiar snicker behind her. She didn't need to turn to know it was Ethan Caldwell, the 6'3" quarterback who led the Lincoln Lions, a clique of senior jocks who ruled the school's social hierarchy with an iron fist. Ethan, with his chiseled jaw and a smirk that could sour milk, had been a thorn in Emily's side since her first week. He'd toss paper balls at her during lessons, mock her equations with exaggerated yawns, and rally his crew, Tyler, Jake, and Brody, to join in the torment. Today, though, Ethan was in a darker mood, still stinging from a humiliating loss to their rival team, the Westview Wolves. Emily was the perfect target for his frustration. "Yo, Miss Harper!" he called, his voice laced with mock sweetness. "You gonna teach us how to count our fumbles today?" The hallway erupted in laughter, students parting like a curtain to watch the spectacle unfold. Emily's cheeks burned, but she kept her eyes forward, her mantra echoing in her mind, "Stay calm, don't engage." She'd faced worse in her old life, far worse, but she'd vowed to leave that world behind. She was a teacher now, not a fighter, or so she believed. As she reached the math wing, the crowd thickened and Ethan's crew closed in, their sneakers squeaking ominously. "What's the matter, Teach?" Tyler jeered, a lanky wide receiver with a buzz cut and a cruel glint in his eye. "No spine today?" Emily's grip tightened on her planner, but she kept walking, her voice steady. "Ethan, Tyler, that's enough. Get to class." Her words were firm, but they only stoked the fire. Ethan snatched her lesson planner from her hands, holding it high like a trophy. "Let's see what nerd stuff Miss Harper's got planned," he crowed, flipping through the pages as Jake and Brody hooted. The crowd pressed closer, phones already out, recording the humiliation. Emily's pulse quickened, but she forced herself to stay composed. "Ethan, give it back, now." Her tone carried a warning, but Ethan only laughed, stepping closer, his bulk looming over her. "Or what, nerd?" he sneered. "You gonna cry?" The hallway clock ticked down, 3 minutes until class. She could walk away, report this later, keep her secret buried. But then Ethan crossed a line. He shoved her. The push was brutal. his meaty hand slamming into her shoulder with enough force to send her stumbling backward. Her back crashed into the cold metal lockers with a deafening clang, pain shooting through her spine. Her glasses skittered across the floor, and the crowd gasped, then roared with laughter. "Do it again, Ethan," Brody shouted, a stocky linebacker filming the scene with glee. Emily's vision blurred, not from tears, but from a surge of adrenaline she hadn't felt in years. Her hands clenched into fists, her body humming with muscle memory honed through thousands of hours on the mat. She straightened, her voice low and lethal. "Don't touch me again." Ethan, oblivious to the shift in her demeanor, laughed louder. "Or what? Teach?" He shoved her again, harder, expecting her to crumple. He didn't expect her to become a whirlwind. In a blur of motion, Emily sidestepped his push, seized his wrist, and executed a flawless osotogari, a judo throw that used his own momentum to send his 220-pound frame crashing to the floor. The linoleum shook as Ethan hit the ground, groaning in shock, clutching his back. The hallway fell silent, the crowd frozen, mouths agape. Tyler lunged forward, shouting, "You crazy!" But Emily was already moving. She grabbed his arm, pivoted, and flipped him over her hip in a Harai-goshi throw, sending him sprawling beside Ethan. Jake and Brody hesitated, their bravado evaporating as Emily stood tall, her cracked glasses glinting under the fluorescent lights, her eyes blazing with a fire no one had seen before. "Anyone else?" she asked, her voice cutting through the stunned silence like a blade. No one moved. The bell rang and the crowd scattered, whispering furiously as they fled to class, leaving the jocks humiliated on the floor. By noon, the incident was a wildfire. The video, titled "Math Teacher Destroys Bullies," exploded on X, racking up tens of thousands of views. Students shared it in group chats, teachers whispered in the staff lounge, and parents bombarded Principal Walsh's inbox with complaints. Walsh, a stern woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense bob, summoned Emily to her office before lunch ended. "Miss Harper," she began, her lips pursed, "this is a disaster. Physical altercations with students are grounds for immediate suspension, provocation or not." Emily sat quietly, her hands folded, knowing the video told a different story. "They attacked me, Principal Walsh. I defended myself." Walsh sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. "I've seen the footage, Emily, but this martial arts display, it's excessive. Ethan's father, Richard Caldwell, is threatening to sue, and parents are demanding your resignation." Emily's stomach twisted. Richard Caldwell was a powerful attorney with deep ties to the school board. If he wanted her gone, he'd make it happen. "I understand," Emily said softly. "But there's something you need to know about me." Before she could explain, the door flew open and Coach Dan Reynolds stormed in, his face red with fury. A burly man with a graying buzz cut, he treated Ethan like a son, grooming him for a college scholarship. "What the hell, Harper?" he roared, slamming a fist on Walsh's desk. You think you can toss my star player like trash and walk away? You're finished." Emily met his glare, unflinching. "Your star player assaulted me, Coach. Maybe teach him respect instead of excuses." Reynolds's face turned purple, but Walsh raised a hand. "Enough, Dan. Emily, explain yourself. Why didn't you report the bullying sooner? And where did you learn to fight like that?" Emily took a deep breath, knowing the truth would change everything. "Because I didn't want anyone to know who I was." 10 years ago, Emily wasn't Emily Harper. She was Emily Chen, a judo prodigy in San Francisco, trained by her father, Liang Chen, a former Olympic coach. By 16, she was a national champion, her name in sports pages, her future bright with Olympic dreams. But her world shattered when Liang was implicated in a scandal involving rigged matches and illegal betting. The media frenzy destroyed their family's reputation, and Liang disappeared, leaving Emily to face the fallout alone. At 18, she changed her name, abandoned judo, and fled to Ohio, burying her past to become a quiet math teacher. Lincoln High was supposed to be her fresh start, but Ethan's shove had cracked that facade wide open. As Emily shared her story, Walsh's expression softened, but Reynolds scoffed. "So you're some secret ninja? That doesn't justify attacking kids." Emily's eyes narrowed. "They're not kids, Coach. They're 18, bigger than me, and they knew what they were doing." Walsh nodded slowly. "I'll need to review the evidence and consult the school board. For now, Emily, you're on paid leave pending investigation." As Emily left the office, she overheard Reynolds muttering to a colleague, "Caldwell's dad will bury her. She's done." The words sent a chill down her spine. Richard Caldwell's influence ran deep, and if he was out for blood, her career and her new life were at stake. That night, Emily sat in her modest apartment, scrolling through posts about the incident. Some were supportive. "Miss Harper's a legend. Those jocks had it coming." But others were vicious, accusing her of abusing students or staging the attack for clout. The video had spread beyond Ohio, picked up by national blogs, and even a segment on a morning talk show. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You're finished, Harper. Watch your back." Her heart sank. She'd faced bullies before, but this felt different, calculated, menacing. She considered calling the police, but hesitated. Her past had taught her to trust no one but herself. Instead, she slipped into her garage, where a dusty judo mat lay, hidden under boxes. For the first time in a decade, she practiced her forms, her body moving with the grace and power of a warrior reawakened. The katas felt like coming home, but they also stirred memories she'd fought to forget. Her father's voice, the dojo's scent, the betrayal that broke her. The next morning, Walsh emailed Emily. The school board was holding an emergency meeting in 3 days to decide her fate. Parents, students, and faculty would attend, and Richard Caldwell was already rallying support to have her fired. Emily knew she couldn't stay silent. She spent the day gathering evidence, screenshots of Ethan's threatening texts from classmates, hallway security footage, and statements from students who'd witnessed his bullying. But as she dug deeper, she uncovered something far darker. A shy sophomore named Mia Torres, a math club member who idolized Emily, approached her in secret. "Miss Harper," Mia whispered, her voice trembling, "Ethan's crew isn't just bullying kids. They're extorting money from freshmen and selling vape pens in the locker rooms. They threatened to hurt my little brother if I told anyone." Emily's jaw tightened. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about a school corrupted by power and fear. Determined to expose the truth, Emily contacted Sarah Nguyen, a local reporter who'd covered the viral video. They met at a quiet coffee shop, where Emily laid out everything, the bullying, the extortion, and her own past. Sarah's eyes widened as she scribbled notes. "This could be huge, Emily, but you need ironclad proof. Caldwell's got the school, a board in his pocket, and he'll paint you as the villain." Emily nodded, handing over a USB drive with her evidence. "Then let's make sure the truth hits first." Over the next 2 days, Emily and Sarah worked tirelessly. Sarah interviewed students, corroborated Mia's story, and uncovered financial records linking Coach Reynolds to suspicious payments from parents, hinting at a cover-up. Meanwhile, Emily trained in her garage, her judo forms sharpening her focus. She wasn't just preparing for the board meeting, she was bracing for war. The anonymous texts continued, growing darker. "You can't hide, Chen." The use of her real name sent a jolt through her. Someone knew her past, and they were watching. The school board meeting was a circus. Lincoln High's auditorium was packed, the air thick with tension. Parents whispered, students fidgeted, and reporters lined the back, cameras rolling. Richard Caldwell took the stage first, his silver hair gleaming under the lights, his voice smooth and commanding. "My son, Ethan, is a star athlete with a "Scholarship on the line," he declared. "This teacher assaulted him unprovoked, endangering his future. She must be fired." The crowd murmured in support, but then Emily stepped forward, her blazer crisp, her gaze unyielding. "I didn't want to fight," she began, her voice steady, "but Ethan and his friends attacked me, and their behavior isn't isolated." She projected her evidence on a screen, texts, videos, Mia's testimony. The room gasped as Ethan's threats were exposed, and when Sarah's article dropped on X mid-meeting detailing the extortion ring, the crowd turned on Caldwell. But Richard wasn't done. He played his trump card, a second security video, doctored to make it look like Emily initiated the shove. The auditorium erupted, parents shouting for her dismissal. Emily's heart sank. She hadn't seen this coming. As Walsh called for, "Order?" A small voice cut through the chaos. It was Mia standing at the back, trembling but defiant. "That video's fake," she shouted, holding up her phone. "I recorded everything from the stairs." Mia's footage, unedited, showed Ethan's attack clearly, exposing Caldwell's lie. The crowd roared in support, and Ethan, in the front row, slumped, his face ashen. Coach Reynolds, who'd been silent, slipped out a side door, avoiding scrutiny. The board deliberated late into the night. At 10 p.m., Walsh announced the verdict. Emily was reinstated with an apology. Ethan and his crew were expelled, and an investigation was launched into Caldwell's actions. Students swarmed Emily, chanting her name, Mia hugging her tightest. "You're my hero," she whispered. But as the cheers faded, Emily's phone buzzed with another anonymous text. "San Francisco never forgets Chen." Her blood ran cold. Someone knew her real identity, and they weren't done. In the weeks that followed, Lincoln High began to heal. Emily resumed teaching, her classes now packed with students who respected her quiet strength. She started a judo club, mentoring kids like Mia, who found courage in their throws. The investigation deepened, revealing Coach Reynolds had been taking bribes to protect Ethan's crew, leading to his resignation. Richard Caldwell faced charges for evidence tampering, his influence shattered. But Emily remained on edge, the anonymous texts haunting her. One evening, as she locked her classroom, she found a note on her desk, written in her father's distinctive kanji. "I'm proud of you, Emily, but you're not safe." Her heart raced. Was her father alive? Had he found her? Or was this a trap, set by an old enemy from her judo days? Emily stood in the empty classroom, the note trembling in her hands. Her past was catching up, but she was no longer the scared girl who'd fled San Francisco. She was Lila Harper, teacher, fighter, survivor. She folded the note, slipped it into her pocket and stepped into the hallway, her judo spirit blazing. Whatever came next, whether her father's ghost or a new threat, she was ready to face it. Her throws sharp, her heart unbroken, and her story far from over.